My mom created a fun way for us to learn the most important rules of life. Yah's command.
With Yah's Big Ten Commands, we get to see His what's best for us.
Keep Yah first.
No graven images.
Don't take Yah's name in vain.
Remember Shabbat and keep it holy.
Honor your parents.
Do not kill.
Mr. and Mrs., don't cheat.
Don't steal.
Don't tell lies.
Don't covet.
This changes everything. Get your set of Yah's Big Ten Commands at Big Ten Designs today.
Come away, come on, y'all. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's what we need to do. We need to come away and rest. Meditate, reset. Meditate on Yahuwah's word. Okay? Hallelujah. Shalom, family. What's going on? What's good? Y'all doing all right? I want to thank y'all for coming in. I'm so grateful every time y'all show up. All praises to the Most High. Go ahead, do me a favor, get the like button up. Get them thumbs up. And go on and get that share button up. All right? We want to have a very important conversation tonight, and I'm glad that y'all are here for us to dive in and dig in, because there's a lot of things that people misunderstand. And especially in today's day where it's just like there's so much information and disinformation and misinformation. It's just wild. Do me a favor. Tell me if you were here earlier for my earlier live, my impromptu. Y'all know when I go live like that, it's usually impromptu. Did I bless y'all earlier? Do me a favor, throw up some fire emojis if it blessed you earlier, the live where I talked about the knowledge of self and how the enemy wants to keep us ignorant to the knowledge of self. Okay? Do me a favor. Can y'all hear me? Also, if you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Y'all know I ain't on my phone. When I'm on my phone, the audio is never a problem. But when I'm on this computer, it's always an issue. Well, praise Yah. Praise Yah. I'm so glad y'all got to tune in to the live earlier. If you did not, Check it out. Check it out. I hope that it blesses those of you who heard it. All right. Because we have to understand that the enemy, his greatest tactic against us, his greatest tactic right now, especially, is our ignorance. So it said, you say it sounds funny, and that's terrible. You know what? I know it's really bad, you guys. I am so sorry it's like this, and I appreciate y'all for sticking around. I am having like the worst when it comes to mic issues on my computer. So I might have to go back to doing some more of my lives on the phone. But thank you so much for sticking around in spite of that, because we need to have this conversation. So I'm going to be doing a lot of digging into the scriptures tonight. Okay, I'm going to dig into the scriptures tonight because that's where we're going to find our answer. All right. But before I do, I want to just remind all of you who are here that Shalom Home Hebrew Lifestyle blog is up and running. We are live. Shalom Home Hebrew Lifestyle blog. Y'all come on over, check us out. Come on and read these articles. These articles are fire. Y'all see my cutie pie right there? That's my cutie. That's my cutum pies. Yes. And I'm so glad actually that he's on this blog, because this is a reading program called Phonics that my family and I have been using for over 10 years. Okay. It's a reading and math program, and it is amazing. Okay. I've used it for all of my children, and all of my children are doing well with reading because of this program. Okay. This program is so good, and I'm so glad that they have allowed me to partner with them, and I'm an affiliate. And if you click on this link right here, it'll take you right to their website, and you can get your family to partake in reading with Phonics program. So click on that button right there, and they will help you out. Okay, it's an excellent program. I highly recommend it. Check out Shalom Home Hebrew Lifestyle blog. Shout out to Fast Nickel, our web developer. We talk brew business. We talk current events. We talk health and wellness, Hebrew politics, personal development. It's an amazing site. So just wanted to share that with y'all real quick. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to dig in because we got a lot to talk about tonight. So let me go ahead and pull up this information, and then we're going to get started. Give me just 1 second, y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. I just had to let my babies know it is night time. So we're going to go ahead and have this discussion on dealing with Hebrews and demons. Now, the reason why I wanted to address this is because notice I didn't put believers and demons. I put Hebrews, because there seems to be a misunderstanding when it comes to how demons work in the earth. And I think that some people believe that because they are of the bloodline of Yasharel, that they're somehow like Teflon, you know, they are indefensible. They're not able to be penetrated by the demonic. And I want to tell you right out that that is just not the case. But let's find out, before we dig into why that's not the case, let's find out what demons are. Okay? Let's find out what demons are. So when we go here to the Blue Letter Bible, it tells us, and this is the definition of when I looked up the word devil. Okay? So I want y'all to hear translated, the transliteration and the pronunciation of the word devil in Hebrew.
Strong's G 1140, daimonion.
So you all hear that, daimonion. And its definition is the divine power, deity, divinity. That's the first definition. The second one is a spirit, a being inferior to Elohim, superior to men. And 3, evil spirits or the messengers and ministers of the devil. Now that word there, messengers, is so important because we need to understand that that's what angels are. Angels are messengers of the Most High Yahuwah. And so demons or devils, they are the opposite. They are messengers and ministers of the devil, of Ha-Satan. Okay? All right, so it's a demonion, neuter of derivative, G1142, a demoniac being, by extension, a deity, devil, God. Now that's important to understand because that means that demons can be worshipped, right? In the same way that the Most High can be worshipped, demons can be worshipped. And we see that today. We see so many people into demon worship. And I don't care what ethnic group or background they come from, there's so many people who sit at the feet of demons and worship them. We need to be aware of that. So we're going to go into the scripture because we need to understand that when it comes to the Bible, that the first example that the Most High gave when it concerned demons was specifically to the children of Israel. It was specific to the children of Israel. So if you ask, can Hebrews have demons? Absolutely. Matthew chapter 15. So Matthew chapter 15 talks about Yahusha when he was dealing specifically with what we know today as the Syrophoenician woman. Now, I don't read all up ahead. I want to start right here talking about where Yahusha talked about what defiles a person before he deals with the Syrophoenician woman. So in verse 19 out of chapter 15, it says, for out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. That's out of the heart. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defiles not a man. So, of course, the argument was about the disciples, whether they had hands that were washed or they had hands that were unwashed. And he said, listen, it's not the washing or not washing of the hands that defiles you. It's what comes out of your heart. It's your evil thoughts, the murders, the adulteries, the fornication. But how many of us understand that a lot of these thoughts, they're not even ours? And I can get into that verse in a little bit. Some of them are, but not all of these thoughts are ours. Murders, adulteries, fornication. So this is what he's saying, that your heart is the first problem. So let's jump down to verse 21. Then Yahusha went thence and departed to the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Adonai, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. Now, see, before I read on, I want to talk about this. Because, you see, we live in a world today where nobody wants to face the reality that people have demons. And yet this mother understood that her child had a demon. That's sorely, grievously vexed with the devil. She didn't make any excuses. She wasn't like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with my child. No, she said, my child got a devil. Help, son of David. But this is how Yahusha answers. He said to her not a word. He didn't answer her one word. Remember, she was a woman of Canaan. She was not an Israelite. He didn't answer a word to her. And so his disciples saw that. They came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she cries after us. So see, this is why it's important for us to understand the text. Because when you have people who try to tell you that when verses like I've come but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which is verse 24, that they're not important, he is literally telling you right here. He's coming for the house of Israel. He said, But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What was the context? What was the context? The context was that this woman was talking about her daughter being demon afflicted. I don't want to call her possessed. She could have been oppressed, but she had a demon. And he said, in response to her asking for help, I only came to the children of Israel. And see, a lot of people like to use that verse, but do we understand the nature of his response was dealing with deliverance? The nature of his response in that regard was about dealing with deliverance for the children of Israel. Then came she, though, and worshiped him and said, Adonai, help me. She heard him say that. She didn't try to correct him. She wasn't like, oh, why are you discriminating against me because I'm not an Israelite? No, she knew and understood rank, structure, and order. And she said, in spite of rank, structure, order, I need help. And his response, he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? He said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. Somebody tell me in the comment section, what is the children's bread? Tell me in the comment section, what is the children's bread? I want to know who's paying attention. Diamond says food. Romaine says healing. Sister Malaka says the word of truth is the children's bread and the law. Chosen daughter said it's the gospel. Janet said Janet Powell, said the word. Janet said Powell. That's funny. Now, those are all good answers, but that is not what he said. She asked for her child to be set free from a demon. So he said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. What he was saying here is that deliverance from demonic spirits is the children's bread. Deliverance. Deliverance is the children's bread. Deliverance from demons. That is the children's bread. That's it. That's the children's bread. So to answer the question about whether or not Hebrews can have demons, 100% Hebrews can have demons. But the Messiah said to the woman of Canaan who wanted deliverance for her child that it is not right to give the meat to the dogs. And she replied, true, Adonai, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. She understood that it was belonging to the children of Israel to get set free from demonic possession. Y'all understand what I'm saying? It's belonging to the children of Israel. So yes, the children of Israel, Hebrews, Israelites can have demons. And Yahusha spent so much of his ministry casting them out. He spent so much of his ministry casting them out, not out of unbelievers, but out, let me put it this way, not out of non-Israelites, but rather out of Israelites. But this was his response to her. He says, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto you, even as you will. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. Because of the fact that in spite of her not being an Israelite, she still pressed him by faith for deliverance for her child. She humbled herself and she still stood strong in faith. He said, great is your faith. And because you have such great faith, the very thing that you request will be granted unto you. Yes, ma'am. She understood the assignment. Yes, ma'am. She understood the assignment. That's exactly right. And see, so what we need to understand is that if that Syrophoenician woman, if that Canaanite woman can humble herself in the way that she did, if she can humble herself, my little guy just woke up. Y'all, there may be interference tonight. But if she can humble herself in the way that she did, so that her child could be set from this demonic spirit, how come we can't? And it's for us. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? It is for us. But how many of Israel are taking part in it? How many people in Israel, how many of us understand and are taking part of deliverance? No, because we're looking at it like, oh, that's them heathens. Them heathen got demons. No, they ain't the only ones that got them. Now we're going to move on. We're going to talk about something else. Now that we've established the deliverance is the children's bread, we're going to talk about how these demons manifest themselves. All right? Because demons manifest themselves in a specific way. All right? Specific ways. But we're going to talk about one of those ways in which they do. So Luke chapter 9. Luke chapter 9. We're going to read about this man and dealing with another child. This time the man is an Israelite. There's no question about his lineage. And this is another child. So for those of you who are wondering, oh, well, children can't have demons. Oh, yes, they can. They absolutely can. 100%. It's in the very Bible that we read. And remember, back then, they didn't have Western medicine. They didn't have a Western name for every ailment that they faced. Because you have to understand that we have been molded under the system of Europeanization. And the European system has trained us to not look at things which are spiritual as spiritual and make everything into something that is just solely physical. So I'm going to read what happened to this boy and tell me if that doesn't sound like something that you've heard of before. So it says in Luke chapter 9, verse 37, and it came to pass that on the next day, when they were come down from the hill, much people met him. And behold, a man of the company cried out, saying, Master, I beseech thee, look upon my son, for he is mine only child. And lo, a spirit taketh him, and he suddenly crieth out, and it teareth him, and he foams again, and bruising him, hardly departs from him. Now, before I continue to read, do y'all hear the language here? He says that a spirit takes him, and he suddenly cries out, and it tears him, and he foams again, and bruising him hardly departs from him. What does that sound like to y'all? Huh? What does that sound like to y'all? I'm gonna tell you what it sounds like to me. I'm gonna put it in the comment section. Yeah, we working, we doing this together tonight. There we go. She beat me to it. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes, the king's daughter. They're giving us pills and potions for our demons today. That's right. Yeah, rabid, like rabies, but it's epilepsy. This is what we call epilepsy today. This boy's been thrown all around. But then his daddy sit there and say, oh, he's got epilepsy. Now listen, I know this is a sensitive topic. It's a very sensitive topic because you guys got to understand that our minds have been trained in Western thought. And because our minds have been trained in Western thought, we perceive everything through the lens of just physical. But it is not all physical. I'm not saying it's all spiritual, but it usually is rooted in something spiritual that has happened first. So let's read what this man says about the disciples. And I besought your disciples to cast him out, and they could not. So he taught the disciples to cast this spirit out that we today would call epilepsy, but they couldn't. And Yahushua answered and said, "O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you and suffer you? Bring your son hither." And as he was yet coming, the devil threw him down. While he was in the middle of getting ready to go to get his healing, the devil threw him down and tear him. And Yahushua rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the child and delivered him again to his father. So even as he was getting ready to be healed from this spirit of epilepsy, that devil was throwing him down. That devil was fighting. Let me tell y'all something. You know what? Tonight we're going to have a real conversation. I need y'all to understand that demons don't give up easily. I said demons don't give up. Listen, demons are not for play. Okay? They're not for play. They do not give up easily. They're not sitting there like, "Oh my goodness, you're going to cast me out? Well, okay then." Demons do not sit there and just give up. Demons are fighters. They will fight you tooth and nail. They will fight to stay in because they do not want to be cast out. They don't. Now, I'm going to talk to y'all about some stuff that y'all need to understand. Because many of you have experienced some demonic stuff, and you didn't necessarily realize that what you was experiencing was demonic stuff, but you were. So I say it's been about 15 years, okay? About 15 years ago, my husband came down with a sickness that paralyzed half his body, okay? It paralyzed half his body 15 years ago. He wasn't feeling well, and he said to me, "I need to go to the hospital. I'm not feeling well." And, of course, he got to go. So he went to the hospital, and I didn't know, what was wrong with him, and he didn't know what was wrong with him, and we didn't understand just how deep what was wrong with him was. But in a matter of days, my husband's half of his body, his face all the way down to his foot, I believe it was on the right or the left side, I'm not sure, but only half of it was paralyzed, half of it. And so the doctors told us that my husband had a rare medical condition called Guillain-Barré. Do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat if you ever heard of Guillain-Barré. All right, so some of you have heard of Guillain-Barré. Okay, so you understand. Guillain-Barré. Now, for those of you who don't understand what Guillain-Barré is, I'm going to share a video with you guys. You see, because I need y'all to understand how this stuff works in the spirit. But as my husband was suffering from Guillain-Barré, it put him in the ICU. Okay, so this was a life-threatening disease. And I watched my husband's face go from natural to unnatural. Half of his face couldn't move. Half of his body couldn't move. And I remember at the time that he had just become a part of this men's fellowship. Now, we were Christians at the time, and he was a part of this men's fellowship. And he had just started with the guys, but they decided to come down to the hospital and to pray over my husband. Okay. And I remember it was about 3 or 4 guys, and they had such joy. They were so joyful. And they came in the room and they said, "God bless you, brother. It's going to be okay. You're going to be healed. It's going to be all right because we know that he has healing power." And yes, they prayed in Jesus' name. and they began to pray over my husband. And they prayed for, it could have been 15 or 20 minutes, but they were just praying with authority, and they were praying with joy, and they were praying with this sense of knowing that my husband was going to be set free. Now, I'm telling you that it wasn't probably about a week later that my husband got out of that hospital. And not only did he get out of the hospital, it was a few weeks later that his face began, and his body, of course, now he can move. He can move both sides of his body, okay? And now not only could he move both sides of his body, now his face begins to restructure back into what his face was before he had gotten sick. When I tell you the power of the Most High, you see, because y'all got to understand that I got a testimony of the power of the Most High to deliver from demons. I got a testimony. Now I'm going to show y'all the effects of Guillain-Barré so you understand just how serious this was and could have been for my husband if he did not get delivered.
No,
pero
bueno.
mirándolo a él, ajá.
Bueno, en la frente, no tengo expresión en la frente, no puedo subir las cejas, los cachetes, la nariz no la puedo mover, no me puedo sonreír, y el párpado me tengo que ayudar con micrófono a cerrármelos para poder dormir, con unas botas, y la comida, o sea, no puedo masticar muy bien, tiene que ser cosas blandas. No, terrible, terrible, porque no doy expresión de nada, parezco una máscara.
Now, you see, they said there's nothing more the doctors can do for that man. Guillain-Barré is a devastating disease, as Sister Sheila would say, and demonic oppression of the body. Because when those men went into my husband's room, they cast out that demon. They prayed for his healing, and my husband was healed. Many people don't recover from Guillain-Barré. Yes, this happened to him about 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago. So the next testimony I want to share, because, you know, guys, I don't talk about this all the time, but I think it's very important that y'all understand that when you are fighting the good fight of faith, you do get attacked. And we'll talk about that as well a little bit later. But then my daughter was born. My daughter, Natalie, my sweetheart. She was born, and within a few months, we began to notice that she had a rash. She was getting a rash on her face. And we thought it was impetigo. If you have small children or have a baby, you know sometimes bacteria can get on their mouth from their pacifier. So we thought it was impetigo. And so we took her to the doctor, and the doctor said, here's some Bactroban. Just put it on her topically and she'll be okay. But we put the Bactroban on, and the Bactroban wasn't working. In fact, the rash was getting worse. The rash was getting so bad that her skin was peeling at about 3 months old, and she was beginning to develop boils on her face, arms. She lost all her hair, all over her legs, her private area, her toes. She lost all her nails. This is what my daughter went through, y'all. This is me talking. This is Sister Shonda here talking. This is what my little baby went through. Okay? I want to help y'all to understand, because I'm not talking out the side of my neck. I'm talking about what I know. So finally, when they did the biopsy, they told us she had something called acrodermatitis enteropathica. They didn't tell us this before they gave us all kinds of topical and oral medication to give to her, and fighting what they were just diagnosing and didn't have any clue to. So they finally did a biopsy on her. They took it before an international medical team who diagnosed her with acrodermatitis enteropathica. This essentially is a zinc deficiency. Okay? It is a zinc deficiency. And my baby girl suffered with it for about 2 months. And we prayed and we prayed and we prayed. And they did not have any answers. Finally, in our prayers, because the Most High meets you where your faith level is, and at the time, our faith level wasn't in the supernatural, but it was in whatever he was going to do. And so my dad called me and he told me about aloe vera, and he told me about phytoplankton and sea algae, and he sent us some supplements to put into her milk, and told us to take aloe and put it all over her skin. And we did that, and we prayed for her. And all of a sudden, her skin began to restore. But I want to show you what her skin looked like before it began to restore. This is not my daughter, but this is how bad it was for her. You see this little girl? This is how bad it was for my daughter. Now, can you be a parent? Can you imagine being a young parent going through that? Can you imagine being a young parent, seeing your infant go through that? And you don't know nothing about deliverance. You don't know nothing about healing. All you know is that the doctors are telling you that they don't know what she has. They don't know what's going on. Yes, I can't even show you the other picture. It's just too much. Now, so the doctor eventually called me back, the pediatrician, because you have to understand that she'd been passed around from one doctor to the next. And at that point, they all decided that they didn't want nothing to do with her. They just closed the case on my daughter. They would have left her for dead. You understand? Because that disease is so debilitating that if they didn't know what it was that she had, if they didn't find out, she could have died. But the Most High. And so when we began to put the aloe, because he gives us the healing of the leaves he gives us the leaves for the healing of the nations. So he gave us the aloe, and we put the aloe on her skin, and we used the phytoplankton, and we prayed over our daughter, and the boils fell off, and her hair grew back, and her skin, all of that went right back into the shape she was in, her nails, everything. My daughter is so tough. She's 12 years old now. All praises to the Most High. She's so strong. She can do backflips. She's so intellectual. She's studying Japanese, and next she's going to study Hebrew. That's what she told me. All right. I'm telling you, deliverance is the children's bread. The Most High healed her, and he used the things of this earth to do so. But why am I talking about this testimony? I had a sister reach out to me about 2.5 weeks ago when I did a video on demon face. Do y'all remember my video on demon face? Y'all remember my video I did on demon face? So I did a video talking about demon face, and I had a sister who reached out to me because the words Perry-Romberg syndrome came up. And she reached out to me, and I appreciate her for doing that. I mean, she came in such humility and shared her story, and it made me dig a little bit deeper. And when she talked to me about this thing that's called Perry-Romberg syndrome, it gave me a clearer understanding of the difference between Perry-Romberg syndrome and what demon face is. So I'm going to share that video with y'all real quick. All these ads all the time. So this sister talked to me about what she had, which is known as Perry-Romberg syndrome. Now I want y'all to take a look. This is what it is.
A lot of volume is needed. और यहाँ से हम लोग
वो इंग्लिश समझ गया, पर ऊपर ही तो पूरा ऐसे हुआ है, राइट? तो इंग्लिश करने के बाद जब मैं स्माइल करूंगा तो ये ऊपर ही दिखेगा. तो इसके
थोड़ा नीचे आएगा, वहाँ पे थोड़ा मैं करूंगा सर्जरी तो थोड़ा नीचे आएगा.
नहीं, मैं बोला बाद में मसल फिर से ऊपर आ नहीं आ जाएगा इसकी वजह से.
नहीं इससे बेकार नहीं होगा, इससे अच्छा होगा. इसका हाँ देखो because ये okay so hi we have this handsome guy. We're gonna do some reconstructive work on the lower third, middle third, and also on the upper third of the face if possible. He has what is called as a Parry-Romberg syndrome or a hemifacial atrophy. Now, this is a condition where you can see there's a clear demarcation on that line and then on the here. And this part of the face has got atrophied, meaning has got shrunken in. The bony architecture has gotten reduced by a few millimeters. The muscle has reduced by a few millimeters. The fat has totally disappeared, resulting in this kind of an appearance. So we're going to tackle this up on all fronts. We're going to get the bony work done. We're also going to get the symmetry addressed. You see this side is much swollen. The chin is towards the midline. There's a split in the chin. So when you look at him, you finally just think that the main issues with the middle third and the lower third. So we're going to tackle that first up. And this is going to involve bony work, soft tissue work, also some fat transfusions. This is our first stage procedure that we're doing now. And we're going to do as much correction.
Exactly, Sister Barbara. It almost looks like a stroke. And that's similar to what happened to my husband's face when his face was paralyzed. So I understand that there are things that happen to us. And there's not always a spiritual reason for why it happens to us, but I believe most of it is spiritual. Most of what happens to us, in my particular belief, it starts out spiritual and it works its way into the physical. That would include cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. That would include brain fog, dementia, Alzheimer's, all of those things. Start spiritually first and then work their way to becoming sicknesses in our body. Now, I do want to share, because there is a difference between Parry-Romberg syndrome and what we have understood to be demon face. So I'm going to share what that is. All right, let me pull this up. Now, we've been talking about it like these two are the two same things, and they're not. So that you can get clarity, I want y'all to listen to a good portion of this.
Here's the weird stuff I love. Imagine your vision is totally normal, and then one day you see demonic features everywhere on people only, just like this, what you see behind me. Now, that's a reality for a man named Victor Shera. He has extremely rare yet terrifying disorder called PMO, and it's commonly known as, or now known because people didn't know about it at first. It's called the demon face syndrome. People with the condition see parts of other people's faces distorted in shape, texture, position, or color. For Shera, that means grotesque, grimace, elongated eyes, and deeply etched scars. Also, pointed ears. There are 75 known cases of the disorder. My next guest, well, we talk about it, and he is kind of skeptical, but he says there's some proof. And joining us now here on The Factor Uncensored, we have with us Dr. Nick Hardy. Dr. Nick, you know, I'm always looking for the weird and the different, and I think I found it today. And this condition, we're told, is called demon face syndrome. Now, it's when an individual sees someone and their face seems distorted, almost satanic, demon-like. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
I haven't. And to your point, when I saw that only 75 cases have been reported, I said, ooh, we really looked high and low to find this one. But I have not heard of this one before. Doesn't mean that it's not valid. Doesn't mean that it's not real. I just haven't heard it. This is the first time that I've heard about this disorder. And
75 cases in a world of billions of people. That's pretty low, right?
It is. It's extremely low. And truthfully, I need to look and see what the threshold is for it even comes up on people's radar, at least from a medical perspective. But I'll say this, they say 75 reported. That means that there could be more people, but just out of fear of, embarrassment or what does this look like? What do people think? I mean, am I crazy? Did I, eat something bad? Is this temporary? I mean, just all the thoughts and feelings that come along with, this being.
How are they describing this so-called demon face syndrome? What is it exactly from what you've been able to ascertain?
Yeah, so what I've seen is basically this is a disorder that when people look at others, there's this distorted view that creates a demon-like figure. And so, some of their eyes may kind of spread out. There may be distortions on their skin. And this only happens when they're looking at people. I don't think that they said that they saw the same imagery when they looked at a sheet of paper. And so it's happening in real time, according to some of these reports.
Okay, so do y'all hear the distinction? That Perry-Romberg syndrome is something that legitimately happens to someone's face. It legitimately happens. Whereas demon face syndrome, you're the one that's seeing what's an illusion as far as they're concerned. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I think that they are saying the stuff that they're saying because they're trying to discredit people who are seeing some real demonic stuff. I mean, I really believe that that's what it is. I believe that they have to tagline people who are reporting seeing people with reptilian eyes or black eyes or their ears going in a funny look or their skin turning green and scaly, like that woman on the airplane. You remember that woman? She was like, no, that person, that is not a human back there. That is not a human. They said she got demon face. They said she is the crazy one. Okay? Exactly. That lady who said she saw a demon or reptile on the plane. They said she the one who got the demon face syndrome. Because y'all remember back in Miami when all of them cops came out of the mall, right? Because people was reporting seeing aliens, right? They was to say, oh, I see this big, huge figure. They would say all them people had demon face syndrome. All of y'all the crazy ones. Y'all ain't see that for real. Oh, man. I'm telling you, they're going to try to discredit us in any way, in every way possible. I mean, really. Okay, so basically anybody who practices deliverance and sees somebody who has a demon and is casting it out and the demon makes their face look distorted and crazy, the person who's casting the demon out got demon face syndrome. Well, see, the reason why they dismiss what they don't believe is because we've been built up into this westernized society. See, you got to understand that the powers that should not be, they don't actually believe what they tell everybody else to believe. They know this stuff is real. They know this stuff is real. And how you know they know this stuff is real? Because they keep it in your face 24/7. They keep it in your face. Every time you turn around, they promote the devil. Every single time. And then when you be like, hey, that looks like a promotion of the devil right there, they're like, man, you got demon face syndrome. That ain't no promotion of the devil. That's called gaslighting. They gaslight the crap out of everybody. They know. These people know. Well, let's go ahead and get back into the text about the children of Israel and dealing with demons. All right? Because this is a very important thing to understand. Okay? Because our nation was destroyed because of demon worship. You want to know why were we do? Because of demon worship. Same thing we got people today trying to do, demon worship. That's why our people were destroyed. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Mashiach. But with many of them, Elohim was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Okay, let's dissect this before we move on. All the children of Israel were baptized unto Moses in the sea. All of them. And they all ate spiritual meat, manna. And they all had that same spiritual drink, which was the rock of our salvation. When They drank from the rock. That was a representation of drinking from the rock that is higher than I. Yahushua HaMashiach. But even though all Israel was baptized, ate and drank of spirit, Elohim was not pleased with them. They were overthrown in the wilderness. Now, these things were our examples to the intent we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted. So why were they overthrown in the wilderness? Because even though they were baptized, even though they ate of that manna and drank of that water, they lusted after evil things. Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication. Remember the things that defile inwardly, as some of them committed, and fell in one day 23,000. He knocked out 23,000 people in one day because of their fornication. Neither let us tempt Mashiach, as some of them also tempted and were destroyed of serpents. Remember when he let the serpents bite at them because of their disobedience? Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured and were destroyed of the destroyer, complaining. That's the one I be working on. You know what I'm saying? I be trying to be like, I got to work on my complaining. I got to stop. Now, all these things happen unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. Wherefore, let him that thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. That's for all of Israel right there. Wherefore, let him that thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. That's for layman, that's for preacher, that's for teacher, that's for influencer, that's for whoever among Israel. You think you stand, watch out, lest you fall. There has no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But Elohim is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. Remember, I told you, demons can be worshipped as gods. I speak as to wise men. Judge ye what I say. The cup of blessing which we bless, is it not the communion of the blood of Mashiach? The bread which we break, is it not the communion of the blood of Mashiach? For we, being many, are one bread and one body. For we are all partakers of that one bread. Behold, Israel, after the flesh. Are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar? What say I then? That the idol is anything, or that which is offered and sacrificed to idols is anything? But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to Elohim. And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils. You cannot drink the cup of Adonai and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of Yahuwah's table and of the table of devils. Do we provoke Yahuwah to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. So what is the Apostle Paul saying here? He's saying the problem that you have among Israel is the incessant need to be just like the other nations. You want to serve the same gods. You want to do everything that everybody else and all the surrounding nations that held you in bondage that they're doing, even in the wilderness. They were doing this. They could not get Babylon out of their hearts. They couldn't get Egypt out. They had to have their take and their fill of everything that the Gentiles were partaking in when they were sacrificing to idols and unto demons. And what happens with us is that we have, and yes, exactly, there goes that once saved, always saved. What happens to us is that we have to understand that the Most High said, be not conformed after the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So when you are partaking in and you got to be a part of everything that the world is doing, you're making yourself a habitation and an abode for demons. That's what you're doing. That is exactly what you're doing. And he said, you can't do that. You can't do that because you make yourself a conduit for the enemy. And that's why he wasn't pleased with our ancestors, because they were worshiping demons. Now we got a lot of our folk that are like, if I don't see it in the Old Testament, I ain't gonna believe it. If I don't see it there, because I don't believe in the New Testament, okay, I'll show it to you the Old Testament. 1 Samuel 16:12. And he sent and brought him in, talking about Samuel asking for David. Now he was ruddy and withal of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And Yahuwah said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the spirit of Yahuwah came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Now on the very day that the spirit came upon David, the Ruach HaKodesh, let's see what happened to Saul. But the spirit of Yahuwah departed from Saul. Was Saul not an Israelite? But what happened to him right after the spirit of Yahuwah departed from Saul? An evil spirit from Yahuwah troubled him. From Yahuwah? Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to keep reading down. But an evil spirit. The Ruach HaKodesh left, and the evil spirit came and troubled Saul. And Saul's servant said unto him, behold now, an evil spirit from Elohim troubleth you. Let our Lord now command thy servants, which are before thee, to seek out a man who is a cunning player on a harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from Elohim is upon you, that you shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in play, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and Yahuwah is with him. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, send me David your son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. And Saul said to Jesse, saying, let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from Elohim was upon Saul, that David took a harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. Now, what you need to understand is that David was a musician. He was a harpist. And we know he was a writer. He wrote all the Psalms. He was a musician. And see, what some of y'all don't understand is the same way in which David's music was able to ward off an evil spirit, music can be used to give you an evil spirit. Do y'all understand that? Do y'all understand that the music that you listen to can be used to impart an evil spirit in the same way that the music that David played made the evil spirit depart from Saul? Y'all need to understand how spiritual music really is. And so some of y'all have said, but what do you mean from Yahuwah? Well, how does that work? Well, let me explain this to you. Here in Isaiah 45, we do it by the word. Isaiah 45:5 says, I am Yahuwah, and there is none else. There is no Elohim beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. He's talking about Israel, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am Yahuwah, and there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. Let me read that again. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I'll read that again. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahuwah, do all these things. That little minion emoji thing. Yes, the Most High is the creator of all. The Most High, Yahuwah, is the creator of all. And what you need to understand, for those of you who are like, I don't understand how can he be a loving Elohim and yet create evil? Well, let me ask you this question. Let's just take it on the base level. Do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat if you got a child. If you got a child or children, put a 1 in the chat. If you have children, put a 1 in the chat. All right. Couple y'all in here. So, for those of you who have children, Team Truth, like they got as many as I do. For those of you who have children, let me ask y'all a question. Has your child ever been disobedient? Have you ever told your child, I said, sit down and stop messing with something, anything. Stop messing with that thing right there. I said, sit down. So your child been disobedient? What? No, so you mean to tell me that you got a child that don't pay attention and don't do what you tell them to do? I got this one child, right? Not my baby. I got this one child that no matter how many times I tell this boy to put his shoes on before he go outside, he don't put his shoes on. So I said, every day you don't put your shoes on, the minute you step outside without your shoes, you coming right back in the house. I don't care. I'm sorry. You just lost the play day. I try not to spank them all the time, but sometimes you gotta tap that butt. Listen, Zion was just going off yesterday. He was just all over the place, and he was getting into everything. And I said, Zion, come here. And Zion wouldn't listen. Finally, I got him. I did a little tap on his leg. He looked at me like, Mama? That boy sat down. I said, that boy sat down. Yes, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, it's funny to me. It's funny to me how humans act superior than the Most High. I can't believe the Most High said that. Oh, yeah, he got some evil for you. Because if you don't, listen, if you don't do what I said, look, you say, even the animals know. Even the animals know. Oh, my God, listen, these boys, I got my full of them. I got my full of these boys. about the, that last nerve. They know how to get on that last nerve. You only got one more nerve. You got one more nerve, and it's already 11:30 at night. You trying to close your eyes and get some sleep. You got only one left. Oh my goodness. Yes. So it's funny to me because we try to act superior to the Most High. Like, what do you mean? He create evil. You have to tap that behind. He sure do. He creates it so you understand how to get yourself in line. He said, get in line. He said, since you don't understand, they got to say it here in St. Thomas. They say, who does not, what do you say? Who does not understand does feel. Or something along those lines. Who does not understand does feel. In other words, if you ain't listening, you ain't doing what I told you to do, you gonna feel it. Or as my mother-in-law used to say, a hard head makes a soft behind. I wasn't even looking when you said that. I wasn't even looking. Hard head makes a soft behind. And don't he? And won't he? Yes, he will. He said no discipline at the time seems, what's that? How you say that verse? No discipline at the time seems pleasant, but it yields a harvest of righteousness for those who are trained by it. Do you understand that that's the goal? The goal is to yield a harvest of righteousness in your life. So will he send an evil spirit to afflict you? Yes, he will. Oh, yes, he will. He will. And they will do it because they enjoy torturing humans. They enjoy torturing humans. They live for it. They hate us. They hate us. Let's look on to Luke 8. Y'all feel this? Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. Don't forget to support the work here. You can do so by Super Chat, Super Sticker, CashApp, PayPal. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. You can also become a monthly supporter. Luke chapter 8 says, and it came to pass afterward that he went throughout every city and village, preaching and showing the glad tidings of the kingdom of Elohim. And the 12 were with him. And certain women which had been healed of evil spirits, y'all hear that? And infirmities. These are Israelite women. Mary called Magdalene, out of whom went how many? 7 devils. Okay? 7. And Joanna, the wife of Shuzah, Herod's steward, and Susanna, and many others which ministered unto him of their substance. And when much people were gathered together and were come to him out of every city, he spake by a parable. He said, a sower went out to sow his seed. And as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the fowls of the air devoured it. And some fell upon a rock, and as soon as it was sprung up, it withered away, because it lacked moisture. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up with it and choked it. And other fell on good ground and sprang up and bare fruit 100-fold. And when he had said these things, he cried, he that has ears to hear, let him hear. And his disciples asked him, saying, what might this parable mean? And he said, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of Elohim, but to others in parables. See, not everybody that's going to hear this is going to understand it, because it ain't given to everybody to understand the mysteries of the kingdom of Elohim. He said that seeing they might not see, and hearing they might not understand. He didn't want everybody to understand this. Why? Because he know their heart wicked. Now the parable is this. The seed is the word of Elohim. Those by the wayside are they that hear, then comes the devil and takes away the word out of their hearts. Takes the word out of their hearts. takes the word out of their hearts, lest they should believe and be saved. He takes the word out of their heart. Now, how does he do this? I mean, because he is a spiritual being, you are a physical being. So how does he do it? He has to come in to your physical body, in your mind, and in your heart, which is your soul, and snatch it out. And how he best does it is through distraction. He does it through distraction. He uses witches oftentimes to come in and discourage you. Oh, you don't really believe that. That sounds crazy. Just like earlier when I was talking about the knowledge of self, he used trolls so that you can't believe the report of the Most High. That's how he does it. He sends whisperers. Now, you need to understand that the Most High wants his people to obey him. The reason why he allows for certain people not to hear and not to see is because their hearts are already hard. But that's not what his desire is. Not for Israel, not for true Israel. That's never his desire. And I'm going to read in Deuteronomy 32 so you can understand, again, the Old Testament, about what the Most High, how he feels about Israel, his people. He said, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For Yahuwah's portion is his people. Do y'all hear that? He said, for Yahuwah's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. I mean, that is amazing. When I read that, I said, wow. We're his portion. His inheritance is us. And we be out here wilding out, acting a whole fool. But he said that we are his portion. He loves us. Man, y'all don't know how much. We all don't know how much he loves us. This is what he says about Jacob. He says he found him in a desert land and in the waste, howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. We're the apple of his eye. He found us in a wilderness, instructed us, led us, and kept us as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreads abroad her wings, takes them, bears them on her wings, so Yahuwah alone did lead him. And there was no strange God with him. There was no strange God. It was him leading Jacob. Oh, I wish y'all could feel this. Man, how much he loves us. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields. And he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine, and milk of sheep, with fat of the lambs, and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape. Y'all are the best of the grapes. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook Elohim, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. I'm going to stop right there because I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. We're going to go back to children. You know, I was having a conversation with my brother the other day about raising children. And we both came to the conclusion that we all want better for our children than we had. We all want to give them what we didn't have. We all want them to have a pleasant and a peaceful life. But the problem is that when you give everything to your children, what tends to happen? What tends to happen with these children? Do they appreciate it? Do they say, wow, you've done so much for me. What can I do for you? Do they do that? I mean, some of them do. But what do the majority of children do when they get everything that they ever wanted? There it is. They get spoiled. They get ungrateful. They get disrespectful. It becomes an expectation. No gratitude. They act like you owe them. They become spoiled. Most take us for granted. They don't appreciate. They get worse. Ain't that the truth? Why are we like this? Why is it that when we have everything, then we don't appreciate all that we've been given? This is what the Most High is saying. Peace and blessings to you, Brother Timothy. You have a blessed night. He continues, it says, they provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, with admonitions, with abominations, not admonition, they need some admonishment. With abominations, they provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, not to Elohim, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, to new elves, if you would, whom your fathers feared not. Of the rock that beget thee, thou wert unmindful, and hast forgotten Elohim that formed you. And when Yahuwah saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very froward generation, children in whom is no faith. Wow. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not Elohim. They provoke me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. I'm trying to tell y'all. The Most High said that his people traded him for devils. The devils of the nations around them, because they were not content with having all the blessings that they had. So they wanted devils. And he said, I'm going to provoke them in the same way that they have provoked me. Yeah, it hurt. It hurts in the same fashion that it hurts us as parents when we give our children everything and they turn around and they just do us dirty. They're ungrateful. It hurts. It hurts like crazy when you're a parent and you're dealing with an ungrateful child that you gave everything to. So how do you think he feels about us?
I don't know why I'm so fortunate and so blessed. And I know that my mom always told me that my grandmother was in the church lighting candles and praying for her. And I am a result of my grandmother's prayers. And my mother prays for me all the time. And I pray for my daughter all the time. And God is real. And God lives inside of me and inside of all of us. And it doesn't matter where I am. I know that and I feel it. Like right now, I'm hot. You know, it's a tingling. It's like, it's love. I feel it when I look at my child. I feel it when I look at my husband. It's God.
Y'all know who that was? Y'all know who that was? Well, she wasn't walking in all truth, that's for sure. Y'all know who that was? She talked about, oh, he's everything. I'm here because of the prayers of my grandmother. And now this is who she's become. Heads or tails for her soul. Heads or tails for her soul. Now what does she become? She don't live there no more. She gone, y'all. The demons, the devils, were more important to her than her so-called walk with the Most High. Y'all remember back this album that she did, Beyonce speaks of doing the unimaginable with the Bible. I plugged my mentions with pages from the Holy Book, but still inside me coiled deep was the need to know, are you cheating on me? Confessed my sins and was baptized in the river, got on my knees and said amen. And said, I whipped my own back and asked for dominion at your feet. I threw myself into a volcano. I saw the devil. I grew thickened skin on my feet. I bathed in bleach. I'm just saying. Oh, I believe that. I tell you, it's so funny she said about the heat that she felt around her. I told you I had a dream, and in my dream, you could feel heat emitting from her from across the room. And I'm telling y'all that because our people give in to seducing spirits, because our people want to be worshipped rather than worship our Elohim, that's what happens. Gives them over to the very thing that they wanted. Demons. Now, I saw this other video here, and I thought this video was a very good example of how they get us caught up with demons in the land of Babylon. This is in Las Vegas. I want y'all to take a look at this.
More demonic than we thought. The Vegas Spirit recently opened up, and the first concert they threw was a band playing called U2. While performing, there were some strange words flashed on the screen. They were scary and seemed subliminal. Got things saying 911 is 666, and right after it says emergency Walt Disney, telling the crowd everything you know is wrong. Also, that we have zero future. Now, remind you that people believe the elite have to tell us what they're going to do before they do it, or else it's bad karma. Could this be them telling us things before it's done? It also said things like die and waste is God. Speaking of God, would you rather have $10 trillion right now or a 10-minute dinner with Jesus? Let me know your answers down below. Anyways, back to the story. The screen also showed bloody kids, fantasy bark, and pesticide along with curse. Were they letting you know they're putting a curse on you? Who's putting these subliminal messages? And maybe I could be thinking way too deep into this. But if I am, what is the reason? Is it just them being edgy, or let me know your thoughts down below.
Y'all see that? That's that they live type stuff. Putting it right in your face. This is what they're feeding your subconscious. And your subconscious is ingesting this stuff in and the demons that go with it. So I believe for sure that Hebrews can have demons. But what if you're saved? What if you're saved? Can you still have demons? Well, let's see what the word says. No need to speculate. Might as well just read what the word says. We're going to go to Luke chapter 11. Starting at verse 7. Let me pull it up. Okay. I think it's in Luke chapter 7. Y'all give me a second. I think I got my little things mixed up right here. Y'all give me half a second. Okay, it's a Luke 11. I said Luke 7, but it's Luke 11. All right, so they're asking about Yahusha casting out demons. And they accused him of casting out demons through demons. So let's read. It says, but some of them said he cast out devils through Beelzebub, the chief of the devils. And others, tempting him, sought of him a sign from heaven. But he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falls. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? Because you say that I cast out devils through Beelzebub. And if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore shall they be your judges. Man, that was like one of them moments, right? But if I with the finger of Elohim cast out devils, no doubt the kingdom of Elohim has come upon you. When a strong man's arm keeps his palace, his goods are in peace. But when a stronger than he shall come upon him and overcome him, he takes from him all his armor wherein he trusted and divides his spoils. He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathers not with me scatters. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and finding none, he said, I will return unto my house whence I came out. And when he comes, he finds it swept and garnished. Then goeth he and taketh to him 7 other more spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. Now, what y'all need to understand about this passage is that what it's talking about is the fact that people that go for deliverance. People say, I need deliverance from this demon. I got this thing. It's just causing me great anxiety in my life. I got depression. All my life is just falling apart. Now they want deliverance. So they get deliverance, and then they go back after they got deliverance in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Then they go back and they live their life that they were living, which got them demons in the first place. But they went to church and they say they got saved and they say they got delivered. But then they ain't reading the word. They're not praying. They're not praising. They're not filling themselves with holy and righteous living. And because they're not filling themselves with those things, they're like a house that's been put in order, but ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody there. And so it is incumbent upon the life of a true and sincere believer to reflect that by the way that they stay in the word and in prayer and in praise and in warfare. Because if the Ruach is living and dwelling in you, it's kind of hard for demons to kind of like just penetrate and just do what they want to do. It's hard for them to do that. They can't do it as easy. Why? Because the Ruach is in you. The Ruach is in you. Now, I'm not saying that just because the Ruach is in you that they won't try. I'm not even saying that they can't accidentally come inside of you when you're born again. But that's why it's important for you to practice deliverance. When you see yourself off, when you see something ain't right, you need to go before Yah and have him help you to understand what's going on. So then you can cast some demons out. Remember, deliverance is a children's bread. Acts chapter 8. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before a time in the same city used sorcery and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one, to whom they all gave heed from the least to the greatest, saying, this man is the great power of Elohim. And to him they had regard, because that of a long time he had bewitched them with sorceries. But when they believed Philip preaching the things concerning the kingdom of Elohim and the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, they were baptized, both men and women. Then Simon himself believed also. Okay? So he believed, and he was baptized, and he even went on and continued with Philip and wondered. He wondered, beholding the miracles and signs which were done. So he's saved now, right? Now when the apostles, which were at Jerusalem, heard that Samaria had received the word of Elohim, they sent unto them Peter and John, who, when they were come down, prayed for them that they might receive the Ruach HaKodesh. For as yet he was fallen upon none of them, only they were baptized in the name of Yahushua. Then laid their hands on them, and they received the Ruach HaKodesh. And when Simon saw that through the laying on of the apostles' hands, the Ruach HaKodesh was given, he offered them money, saying, give me also this power, that on whomsoever I lay hands, he may receive the Ruach HaKodesh. But Peter said unto him, thy money perish with you, because you has thought that the gift of Elohim may be purchased with money. Thou hast neither part nor lot in this matter, for your heart is not right in the sight of Elohim. Repent therefore of this thy wickedness, and pray Elohim, if perhaps the thought of thine heart may be forgiven you. For I perceive that you are in the gall of bitterness and in the bond of iniquity. Then answered Simon and said, pray ye to Yahuwah Adonai for me, that none of these things which ye have spoken come upon me. Y'all understand what happened there? You see, he was saved, but he was jealous. Oh, he was a jealous one. He saw that power that they were flowing in. And because he was a sorcerer, and he used to have power that was similar. And he said, oh, man, but what you guys are doing, that's amazing. You just laying hands on them, and they getting filled with the Ruach? Here, how about I give you some money? You help me to figure that one out. Wait a minute. You're carnal. You think you gonna offer us some money so that you can get this spiritual gift? You can't give us some carnal money to get a spirit. Listen, let me tell y'all something. That's all a TBN. That's all a TBN and these televangelists that are always trying to get you to give them money for some prayer cloth. Come, let me give you some for a donation of $50. I'll send you this anointing oil. I'll send you, and you can just put that on the doorpost of your house and put it on the forehead of everybody. I'm just going to pray over this, and you're going to have healing in your house just for a donation of $50. $50, and it ain't no donation for real. You know it ain't no donation for real, okay? Because if you say I got $5, can I get some of that anointing oil? They said, we set for a donation of $50. Look, $1,000 seed sowing. And you know the ones that always get me is the ones that be like, now if you turn to the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 5, verse 14, it says that he laid hands on the sick and they was healed. So what you got to do, you got to send me $514. And when you do that $114, you're going to receive the blessing. 2 Samuel 5, verse 14. Come on now. Look, a mustard seed. That's sorcery. For $10,000, we will pray for you. That is sorcery. Listen, let me tell you something. I know we all got to eat. I tell y'all all the time. I say, I appreciate any gift that you bless us with, because guess what? This is work. And the worker is worthy of his wages, and I appreciate it. But I firmly believe in the model of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6, which says, let every person give from a cheerful spirit, not with coercion. You're not supposed to be giving when somebody's coercing you, manipulating you, trying to make you feel like, oh, you got to give this in order to receive that. No, because that's not how true spiritual blessings work. You can't buy spiritual blessings with money. You just can't do it. You want some spiritual gifts? The Most High made it clear how you get spiritual gifts. He says, to draw nigh unto me, and I will draw nigh unto you. That's exactly how he blesses you with spiritual gifts. Now, do I believe that you should, quote unquote, sow into people who are feeding you? Absolutely, I believe that. I believe that you should do so because it is showing that you appreciate the fact that they are taking time out to be obedient to the Most High. And you understand that they got mouths to feed. They got bills to pay. But at the end of the day, if your heart is not right and you're feeling coerced and you're feeling manipulated, or you're feeling like this is a way for you to get rich or get a quick healing, you're all wrong. And the person who's trying to make you feel that way, they're doubly wrong. And that was the problem with Simon the sorcerer. That was the problem with Simon the sorcerer. This is that perceiving your heart bitterness. You see, because you got to understand something. If you are really and truly a servant of the Most High, He's going to take care of you. He's going to take care of you. The Apostle Paul said, I learned to be abased and abound. Okay? Some days I'm eating bread and drinking water. Other days I'm having a steak. But guess what? All praises to the Most High for the bread and the water, and even the steak. And if I got to fast that day, then it's for my good. I'm telling y'all, don't fall for this con, because that's a quick way to get a demon. Now, let's talk about the last way. Now, some of y'all are dealing with this. Not everybody. Some of y'all are like, oh, I think this is me. Not everybody. But some of y'all are. Some of y'all are dealing with the same thing Apostle Paul dealt with. You see, because some of y'all are so gifted and blessed. Some of y'all have such power in your life, and the enemy hates you. You serve the Most High. You do everything you can to the best of your ability to serve him. You're not perfect. Even the Apostle Paul said, that which I don't want to do, I do, and the things that I do want to do, I don't. Oh, wretched man that I am, who can deliver me from the body of this death? So maybe you're not flawless, but maybe you're working towards that mature perfection that the Most High has called all his children to. Well, the truth is that could be a reason why you get afflicted too. That could be a reason right there. Let's read it. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of Adonai. I knew a man in Mashiach about 14 years ago. Whether in the body, I cannot tell, or whether out of the body, I cannot tell. Elohim knows. Such an one caught up to the third heaven. Some of y'all be having spiritual dreams. Some of y'all can see some stuff. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell, Elohim knows, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Did we not see this happen to the apostle Yehochanan in the book of Revelation? Of such an one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in my infirmities. Infirmities are sicknesses, weaknesses. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he see me to be, or that he hear of me. He said, let me tell y'all something. I am not a celebrity. I am just a man who's been called by the Most High, and he gives me visions. He didn't even say it was him. He's like, I know a man. I know a brother. That's how much he wants to separate himself from anything that can sound prideful. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, that was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. Now he was given a messenger of Satan to keep him humble. Verse 8, for this thing I besought Adonai thrice, 3 times, that it might depart from me. He prayed 3 times, y'all. Please get this messenger of Satan away from me. And this is what the Most High said unto him. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Mashiach may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Mashiach's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. I am become a fool in glorying. Yea, ye have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended of you. For nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing. You hear that? Paul is saying here, y'all, I'm afflicted of an evil spirit. And it's crazy, right? Because his name is Saul too. Saul and Saul got afflicted of evil spirits. But one was afflicted because of his disobedience. And the other was afflicted to keep him humble. So that he did not get high-minded and puffed up and start feeling like he all of that. The Most High allowed him to be afflicted in his body. And he would not allow him to be delivered. So some of y'all that y'all dealing with some sickness, or you got some ailment going on, something is attacking you, and you praying and you fasting and you saying, Father, why? I'm trying to live right. Why is it like this? Well, because his grace is sufficient in your weakness. His grace is sufficient in your weakness. He don't want you to be puffed up and full of yourself, because it can be that way. When you start feeling like you know something, you start feeling like you got some intellect, some spiritual insight over others. He said, hold on. I need to make sure that you stay humble, because I don't want you to get puffed up and then you think you standing and you falling because you puffed up. Now we're going to talk in the next go run part 2. We're going to be talking about when dealing with demons, how we are to combat dealing with demons. Because how many of y'all know demons don't die, but they can be cast out? So if you are dealing with and afflicted by demons, you want to definitely listen to part 2. And if you know it's not because you live righteously, but because you live unrighteously, then you definitely want to listen to part 2. I hope that this has been an eye-opening message for those of you who needed to hear and understand how it works in the spirit world concerning Yah's people, why we're in the predicament that we're in, and that we can understand that deliverance truly is the children's bread. So thank y'all so much for just tuning in. I want to thank Sister Cynthia for your super sticker. Always doing my best to get in on your live blessings. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. That is so kind that you guys take time out of your life to listen to anything that is on this channel. I appreciate that. And thank you for your prayers. I need them. My family needs them. We all need them. So thank you so much for all that you do to support. And thank you so much, Word, y'all. This is the true soul food. Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I wanted to do this last week, but I was kind of worn out. So I needed to have some strength to be able to do this. So I praise Yahuwah that this message finally got together. And I'm looking forward to sharing part 2, because really deliverance truly is the children's bread. What's going on, my brother Eric Tinsley in the house? Thank you so much. I appreciate you as well. Thank you. Always looking out for the community. Always. And that goes for all of you who do. Continue to keep us lifted up in prayer. Continue to support us in the work that Yahuwah is doing in and through us. Say, who was the man who prayed and helped your husband get delivered? It wasn't one man. It was several different brothers. And most of them were Israelites, but I believe there was one Gentile with them as well. It was about 3 or 4. And they were part of a men's group. And they were very, very disciplined. I'm going to tell you right, they were so disciplined. It was no joke. But I praise Yah that he used them, because it helped me to understand what I'm talking to y'all about tonight. That we deal with medical things, yes. But remember that a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with is spiritual. I'm not telling you don't go to the doctor. I'm not telling you that you don't have things in your body that you need to deal with. I already told y'all before that we do have things in our body that we need to deal with. We need to be careful about how we eat. We need to exercise. You know what I'm saying? We need to de-stress, detox, self-care. All those things are important. We need to make sure we have our vitamin intake up. I'm not over here telling you there's a devil under every rock, but I will tell you there's a lot of devils under a lot of rocks. So understand that you need to go before the Most High and seek his face when it comes to dealing with affliction in the body, when it comes to dealing with spiritual things. He is there with the answer for you. So anyway, love y'all. And I pray that y'all have a blessed night. And the next time I'm back is when I'll see y'all. So I'll praise to the Most High. Y'all have a wonderful night. Remember, as always, love yourselves without hating your enemies. And until next time, family, y'all bless.